Hi people, it's Archivist here, and with all this talk of Halo Infinite, I thought it would be interesting to do a little bit of an evaluation on what kind of potential Free for Free have in terms of crafting a great Halo game. And to do this, it's often good to go back to a developer's previous work, and so long as we're talking about first-person shooters, Halo 5 was indeed Free for Free's most recent Halo game. However, I think that probably doesn't show Free for Free at their best. I think to get a better look at the full potential of Free for Free, it's better to actually take a look at Halo 4. This game, upon its release, actually had an incredible critical reception. If you look at the likes of IGN, who gave it a 9.8, or Game Trailers, just a flat out 9, it had some very impressive scores. And indeed, when I played it back in the day, God, going back to 2012 now, I remember thinking it was incredibly impressive given the level of responsibility that Free for Free were undertaking, picking up this massive series from the likes of Bungie, one of the biggest series in gaming at the time, and having to essentially carry on that level of quality. And Halo 4 really was a fantastic effort at doing that. I don't think they necessarily got everything right. Mostly on the multiplayer side, I think there were certain things in terms of scope that they didn't do as well. Things like Forge wasn't as expansive as Halo Reach, and the general multiplayer maps felt almost too focused, too Call of Duty-like, and lost a bit of their identity. But in terms of the overall experience, I thought it was a great game. And there were certain things I think it almost did better than Bungie. For example, the story in the campaign may have been the best story of any Halo game. Now, let me be clear, that doesn't mean it was the best campaign, it just means I think it had the best story. And the reason for this wasn't, to do with the new enemy in the form of the Prometheans. They were pretty by the numbers. It was mostly to do with the emotional thread that you had with Cortana developing rampancy, and essentially in the Halo universe, after a certain number of years, AIs will begin to deteriorate and effectively go mad and be decommissioned. And it's a little bit of a disturbing parallel to humans when we get dementia in our old age. It's where you think you know someone, but unfortunately, just due to sheer time, we start to lose our sense of self. And as someone who's been around people with dementia, I know it's very unnerving, just that can happen to anyone. And seeing it in a game is very powerful, and you know that Master Chief has this very deep connection to Cortana. She may just be an AI, but at the core of it, she's like Chief's companion. And over the course of the game, you're slowly starting to see this rampancy go up. There are early signs, but then by the end, essentially you see her go. And to be honest, I wish Cortana had remained out of the picture in Halo 5. I think bringing her back almost cheapened losing her in Halo 4. I'm very against that kind of thing where you kill off a character and you get the emotional gut punch that comes with that, but then in the very next entry into the series, whatever that may be, you decide to bring them back because it cheapens the idea of death, and it's not very reflective, of reality either, because in the real world, when people go, they're gone. So I don't really like it when that happens. But if we just focus on Halo 4, I thought that really added something to the campaign. In terms of it being the best campaign, no, I wouldn't quite say that. I think Halo 3, in my estimation at least, had the best campaign, but that's more to do with the epic moments, which is what really defined those early Halo games, was the epic moments. Things like fighting the two scarabs was such an incredible moment in gaming for me, especially when I did it with my brother and my dad doing it in co-op. That was just so much fun. And then the bit at the end where you're driving over the falling platforms with the epic Halo theme going over in the background, just absolutely unforgettable moments. But in terms of the actual story, I think the only thing that comes close to Halo 4 might be Halo 2, because Halo 2 had a very interesting look into the Covenant side where you could see the hierarchy there and the turmoil of the Arbiter. But the thing is, while that was very interesting and from a world building perspective was probably one of the strongest, from an emotional standpoint, I don't think anything's quite reached Halo 4. And the fact that that came from a new developer is very, very impressive. Also, the graphics of Halo 4, it's easy to forget this because it came at the end of the generation, but the graphics for the time were absolutely fantastic. For a first-person shooter, they were just cutting edge, unbelievably good for an Xbox 360 game. And indeed, When I played the Master Chief Collection, which is probably where you're going to be seeing the footage from here when I eventually capture it, if you compare it to Halo 5, it honestly looks to be about the same level. And I think the reason this is because when they developed Halo 5, they were targeting 60 FPS, which means they had to compromise on the visuals to achieve it. And I think with Halo 4, they just decided we're not going to compromise the visuals, we're going to go for 30 FPS. So when you balance that out and put it on an Xbox One X, for example, the visuals and the performance of Halo 4 look genuinely like it could be a modern game, which is a testament really to the fundamental design of Halo 4. The only thing well, not the only thing, but I suppose something I wasn't too keen on with Halo 4 was, I alluded to it at the beginning, but the multiplayer felt like it lost a bit of the essence that defined the earlier Halo games, where it became more focused and more close to, I guess, Call of Duty. Now, I have absolutely nothing against Call of Duty. I'm a big fan of the series and really got into it recently again with the 2019 Modern Warfare, but I always liked originally that Halo felt very distinct from Call of Duty. The best example I can give is 2010. We had Halo Reach and Call of Duty Black Ops, and you felt like you could play both of these games because they offered such a different experience, whereas Call of Duty Black Ops was very fast, frenetic, and arcadey, was very much like fast food, first-person shooter action, just you kill, you move on, you kill, you move on. Halo was a bit more open and free, had a much higher time to kill, more vehicle focused, and as a result it felt like a more distinct experience. But then when it came to Halo 4 and you compared that to, say, Black Ops 2, the experiences felt a little bit too similar, and although the aesthetic was very different, I remember thinking that Halo had lost a little bit of its own identity. And indeed, I think with Halo Infinite, that is something that a lot of fans want to see return. They want Halo to go back to being Halo. There are small things that some people bring up, things like sprinting, that they don't want to come back. And you know what, honestly, that to me doesn't make a world of difference. I don't care if they put sprinting in. I almost don't care if they put aim down the sights in. I think what made Halo Halo were those very big open maps with the high time to kill, so when you had an engagement with someone you actually had to continually focus your aim on them rather than just kill them in seconds and don't really need any skill. But yeah, it was that openness that I think defined Halo. People, I think, can get too hung up on the small mechanics of what defines Halo. For me, it's that openness, those big battles. And indeed, it's interesting when you would look at things like Big Team Battle, which in like Halo 3 and Halo Reach really were very big battles, but then you moved forward into the free-for-free games and they actually became quite small. And it was great how Halo used to feel like it actually had a lot of Battlefield's essence, where it was on that epic scale. And that is something that I would like to see the multiplayer return to. And again, sort of going back to the original idea of this video, looking at Free4Free's previous work, I'm confident that if they want to, and if they have the resources to, they can craft a good campaign, because Halo 4 is proof that they can do that. But what I suppose is still yet to be proven is whether Free4Free can craft a distinctive multiplayer experience. So by looking back at Halo 4, we can see that Free4Free are absolutely capable of creating a good Halo game. I think the biggest question in my mind is if they're able to look at what Bungie did, what made the likes of Halo 3 and Halo Reach so special, particularly in the multiplayer space, and recreate that sort of special sauce. Are they able to look back then and as a distinct developer replicate it in a way that can make Halo unique again? Because that has been the issue. It's been the fact that Halo got homogenized is what I think led to it becoming less of a big player in the AAA space in the way it used to be, where Master Chief was honestly right up there with the likes of Mario in terms of that zeitgeist appeal. So, as always, people, thanks very much for watching and see you next time.